Hi, welcome to Practice English 365. I'm Anna, and today we will practice English together. You will listen, repeat, and speak with me, just like in a real conversation. Our topic for today is jobs and occupations. Now, let's get started. When I was a little girl, I often looked at adults and wondered what their jobs were. To me, adults looked mysterious. They woke up early, dressed in uniforms or suits, carried bags, and left the house with serious faces. I always asked myself, what do they really do all day? My father was a teacher. Every morning he wore a clean shirt, carried a stack of books, and walked to school. I sometimes followed him and peeked through the classroom door. I loved watching him write on the blackboard with white chalk. He once told me, "Teaching is not just a job. It's a way to build the future." His words stayed in my heart. My mother was a nurse. She wore a white uniform and comfortable shoes. Her hands always smelled like soap, clean and fresh. She often came home tired, but when I asked, "How was your day?" she smiled and said, "I helped someone feel better." That simple answer filled me with pride. My friend Sarah had her first job in a bakery. She woke up before sunrise, mixed flour, kneaded dough, and baked bread. I visited her once. She was covered in flour from head to toe, but she laughed and said, "Look, I'm a snowman." Her work was tiring, but she told me, "When customers smile after eating fresh bread, I forget how tired I am." Jobs are not only about money, they are also about meaning. But Sarah never forgot her dream. She still wanted to be a singer. One evening, after her bakery shift, she sang quietly in her kitchen. I asked, "Don't you feel exhausted?" She smiled and said, "Yes, but singing gives me energy." That's when I learned that sometimes our job pays the bills, but our dream feeds the soul. David, my classmate, always wanted to be a pilot. He studied hard, especially in math and physics. He drew airplanes in his notebooks and whispered, "One day I'll fly across the world." Years later, he called me. His voice was full of excitement. "Anna, today I flew a plane." I shouted, "You did it!" His job became his dream come true. I once asked him, "What does it feel like to sit in the cockpit?" He answered, "It feels like freedom, but also responsibility. When you hold the controls, you hold lives in your hands." Not all jobs are glamorous. My cousin Michael is a farmer. Every morning, before the sun rises, he feeds the animals, checks the soil, and works in the fields. His hands are rough. His skin is tanned from the sun. I asked him once, "Don't you ever get tired?" He wiped his forehead and said, "Of course, but farming feeds people. Without farmers, there is no food." His job taught me respect for simple but essential work. I remember spending a summer on his farm. We woke up at 5 a.m., collected eggs, and milked cows. At first, I thought it was hard labor. But Michael laughed, "This is life. Hard, yes, but also honest. That summer, I realized farmers are silent heroes. Emily, my friend from college, became a writer. But at first, she worked as a secretary in a small office. She typed documents, answered phones, and greeted visitors with polite smiles. She often whispered, "This is not my forever job. It's just the road to my dream." At night, she stayed up writing short stories. I asked her, "Aren't you tired after working all day?" She replied, "Yes, but if I don't write, I feel empty." Years later, Emily published her first book. She sent me a copy with a note, "From secretary to storyteller, dreams can survive any job." Lena turned her passion into her job. She loved traveling, so she became a tour guide. She walked through historic streets, explained culture, answered questions, and made jokes to keep tourists smiling. She told me, "My job is like living inside a storybook. Every tour is a new chapter." But her job was not always easy. One summer day, it rained heavily during a city tour. Tourists looked disappointed. Lena clapped her hands and said cheerfully, "Rain is part of the story too. Imagine how people here lived hundreds of years ago, walking in the same rain." Everyone laughed, and the tour continued. That's the magic of people who love their jobs. My online friend, Hiroshi, studied engineering. His first job was designing machines. He once told me, "Being an engineer taught me to solve problems." But later, I wanted to solve bigger problems, human problems. He left his company, started his own business, and built a team. "It's scary," he admitted, "but also exciting. Jobs can change, but skills always grow with us." Some jobs bring funny memories. My brother worked as a waiter in a restaurant. On his first night, he carried too many plates and dropped them. The plates crashed loudly. Everyone looked. He turned red and whispered, "I'm so sorry." But the customer smiled kindly. "Don't worry, we all make mistakes." That moment taught him humility. Another time he said, "Serving tables taught me more about people than school ever did. Some are kind, some are rude, but you learn patience." Jobs are teachers, too. I once worked in an office. My job was to write reports, answer emails, and attend long meetings. Some days felt boring, but some days were exciting when projects moved forward. My colleague once told me, "Anna, jobs are like weather, sometimes sunny, sometimes rainy, but every day we learn something." He was right. Even routine jobs give lessons. There are also heroic jobs. Firefighters, doctors, nurses, police officers, people who risk their lives daily. I once interviewed a firefighter for a school project. I asked him, "Why do you do such a dangerous job?" He looked at me seriously and said, "Because when others run away from fire, I run into it. Someone has to." His answer gave me chills. Some jobs are not just work, they are bravery in action. I also remember meeting a doctor named Dr. Lee.
He worked in a hospital where my mother sometimes volunteered. I asked him, "Isn't your job stressful?" He replied, "Yes, but saving a life makes every long night worth it." His calmness and dedication impressed me deeply. Jobs can connect to childhood dreams. Sarah, after years of baking, finally sang in a small cafe. She messaged me excitedly, "Anna, I did it. I sang in front of strangers." I replied, "Your dream is becoming your job." She said, "Yes, step by step." David, the pilot, now flies international routes. Emily, the secretary turned writer, now holds book signings. Michael, the farmer, teaches local children how food grows. Lena, the tour guide, collects stories from travelers around the world. Hiroshi, the engineer turned entrepreneur, leads a team with new ideas. All of them remind me jobs are not only tasks, they are stories. Other people I've met showed me the variety of work. I once talked to a taxi driver named Carlos. He told me stories of passengers from all over the world. He said, "My car is my office, but also my classroom. Every day I learn something new." I also met a carpenter who made furniture by hand. He showed me a chair he had built and said, "It's not just wood, it's part of my life. Every piece has my effort inside." And once in Italy, I met a chef. He put a plate of pasta in front of me and said, "Cooking is my art. The kitchen is my stage." His job was also his passion. Jobs are more than money. They give identity. When you say, "I am a teacher, a doctor, a farmer, an artist," you are not only describing work, you are describing who you are becoming. Sometimes jobs break us. Sometimes they lift us up. Sometimes they are temporary. Sometimes they last a lifetime, but each job leaves a mark.
That's it for today's practice. Today we shared stories about jobs and occupations. Teachers, nurses, bakers, farmers, writers, pilots, tour guides, entrepreneurs, waiters, firefighters, doctors, carpenters, and even chefs. Each story helps you practice English naturally and also gives you words to talk about work in real life. If you keep practicing like this every day, your English will sound smoother, more natural, and more confident. If you liked today's video, type yes in the comments. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. We'll be here every day, walking with you on your English journey. See you tomorrow, right here on Practice English 365.